Now available on Lulu. John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Marvel Studios has decided to scrap its Daredevil Born Again series. Now, Marvel Studios back in about 2021 announced that it was going to be bringing back the Netflix characters of Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the start of building them up and integrating them into the Marvel Cinematic Universe was going to be done in a series called Daredevil Born Again, which was going to be featured on Disney Plus. Now, the Daredevil character made a brief appearance in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, establishing him as a part of the MCU, and that was going to transition him into his own series, Daredevil Born Again. Now, Marvel Studios was filming this Daredevil Born Again series and had filmed 6 of what they planned to be 18 episodes of the Daredevil Born Again first season when Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, decided to scrap the series because it wasn't working for him. Now, this is the latest black eye for Marvel Studios, which is dealing with a major decline in the aftermath of box office failures like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and declining ratings for many of its shows like Loki Season 2. And as Marvel Studios is dealing with this major decline, the complete cancellation of a series before it reaches production is a major embarrassment for Marvel Studios as related to its overall production process. And as I read about Marvel Studios' production process for Daredevil Born Again and the complete approach that they had for the overall model for storytelling over at Marvel Studios, it really made me shake my head because there was no way they could go out here and produce a quality television series with the approaches that Kevin Feige were using. Now, the traditional business approach for creating a TV show usually is where the writer goes out here and creates a series Bible, and as the head writer creates the series Bible, this features the model sheets for the character designs, the pictures of the set locations they're going to use, and also features model scripts so that other writers who are working with the showrunner can understand the overall concept for the series and have references for the interior and exterior locations that are going to be shot on, and also have a model for the story and the paradigm for the story so that they can understand what they're going to write and how they're supposed to write it. That's what a series Bible does for all of the writers on the staff. It allows them to remain on track as related to making sure that the story remains consistent, and it's a tool that is used by writers to go out here and ensure that every episode remains consistent from pilot episode all the way up to the season or series finale. Unfortunately, Kevin Feige didn't allow for a series Bible to be established for Daredevil Born Again. No, what Kevin Feige did was go out here and allow for non-standard practices to be put on the set of his Marvel Studios Disney Plus shows, and instead of there being a series Bible established so that the head showrunner could have a foundation for the writers to work with, what he did was just have writers going out here just writing all sorts of scripts, and that whole approach makes it where there is no foundation for a structure to be established, and without that foundation for a structure, what you get are writers who just are going off track, and instead of them staying true to the source material and staying true to the story established in the series Bible, what they do is just start writing whatever they want. And as a result of these writers basically writing what they wanted, what happened was, instead of us getting Ben Urich, the guy who was the reporter in the Daredevil comics who followed Matt Murdock in Hell's Kitchen, we got a female put in place replacing him, and we got other diversity characters put in place instead of major supporting characters that were a part of the Daredevil comic. Moreover, we also got to see Karen Page and Foggy Nelson murdered in the first episode, and Karen Page and Foggy Nelson were essential characters in the Daredevil comic, and they were also essential characters inside of the original Netflix Daredevil show. Foggy and Karen were major players in the Netflix universe, not only in the Daredevil show, they were also players in Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and the Defenders, and taking away Foggy and Karen basically throws off the entire dynamics of Daredevil's story, because these were major supporting characters in Matt Murdock's story. Now, in addition to killing Foggy and Karen, they also went out here and had this series just basically dragging at a snail's pace due to Kevin Feige hiring a whole lot of inexperienced writers, and because these writers really didn't know how the story worked as related to Daredevil, what they did was go out here and set a snail's pace for storytelling. Now, in the original Daredevil Born Again, we had the story basically having 4 episodes before Matt Murdock even puts on the suit and fights crime, and that pace is way too slow for a superhero show. And if you have a show going that slow, basically that show is going to wind up hemorrhaging viewers who were used to a faster pace presented to them in the original Netflix Daredevil, where we got a lot in each season. I mean, we got Kingpin, we got Bullseye, we got Elektra. I mean, we got everything as related to many iconic Daredevil runs, like the Marv Wolfman run, like the Ann Nocenti run, and we got many of these legendary stories, and also the Frank Miller run. I mean, iconic stories basically brought to life on screen in Daredevil season 1 through 3, and Daredevil Born Again would not be a show that would really capture the heart and the spirit of the original program. And this is why Kevin Feige basically has made Daredevil Born Again stillborn, because it's not a show that really brings to life the Daredevil characters, nor does it capture the spirit or the heart of the original Daredevil comic books. And again, a major embarrassment, because Marvel Studios spent millions of dollars on this Daredevil Born Again show, and as they spent millions of dollars on this Daredevil Born Again show, they have nothing to show for it but a bunch of episodes that will never be able to come to air because they are not of the highest quality. And they're not of the highest quality because Kevin Feige went out here and arrogantly thought he could go out here and create a TV show based on emotion instead of creating a critical plan for creating a show, because when you're creating a show, you have to have everything laid out before you even cast actors or even go out here and start scouting locations. You need to have everything laid out in a series Bible as related to the locations that you're going to tell your story in, the characters that you're designing, and the and everything as related to the story, so that everybody knows what the standard is for storytelling and the building blocks of the story model and the story paradigm for each episode. This is something I myself did when I had written the screenplay book all about Nikki, the Fabulous first season, and as I was writing the 13 episodes of All About Nikki's Fabulous first season, I didn't know what I was doing, but what I was actually doing was laying out a series Bible for that series and basically creating the foundation of everything that a person would need to know in order to write episodes for that show. Because as I was writing those 13 episodes, I also wrote character descriptions. I also laid out locations as related to Desmond Manor and Beverly Hills High School and other locations. Again, all of these things have to be done before you even hire a writer, other series of writers to work on other scripts. And you also need that direction and foundation, because the series Bible not only gives the showrunner the foundation for the show, it also gives everybody everything that they need to help go out here and craft episodes of that show. The series Bible is an essential piece of literature that is needed for a television series, and sadly, you would think a seasoned executive like Kevin Feige would understand this. Whether it be broadcast television or streaming, you don't start a series without a series Bible, because a series without a series Bible is a series without a direction. Moreover, you don't go out here and hire inexperienced writers to go out here and write on a series, because an inexperienced writer is somebody who is going to make a mess, because they're not familiar with the series Bible, 1. 2, they're not familiar with the source material, so they are not in a place to go out here and craft stories, and they're not able to go out here and craft stories that remain consistent with the overall series that the showrunner is planning. So what happened with Daredevil Born, again, is that Kevin Feige's leadership basically led to this series becoming a possible disaster, and really it was a professional disaster, because this series basically was costing Disney a whole lot of money, especially if they spent the money like they did with Star Wars, where they were spending $20 million an episode. I mean, this series basically was one that cost the studio money, and they have absolutely nothing to show for all of that work. I mean, this is again a major embarrassment for Disney as related to the MCU, because the transition of Daredevil from the Netflix to Disney Plus should have been something that was seamless for a Daredevil season 4, because people were anticipating a Daredevil season 4 with all of the grittiness of the original series. I mean, people wanted to know what happened to Bullseye, what happened to the Kingpin, and sadly with Hawkeye we really got Kingpin neutered, but we wanted to see a darker, grittier Daredevil, and something that would continue on the Netflix series. And Disney should have just gone out here and hired the original showrunner and let that showrunner just continue on with their plans for season 4. That's what I would have done if I were Bob Iger. I mean, yes, I know Disney Plus is a family platform, but the Netflix version of Daredevil needed to stay true to itself, and they could have just put a disclaimer on that show. But instead, what they wanted to do was go out here and try to shoehorn Daredevil into their social justice and far left narratives, and this wound up alienating a lot of people as related to the gossip and rumors related to the Daredevil Born Again series. But as we saw the episodes coming out, we see that that attempt to try to shoehorn Daredevil was a complete disaster, and would have been a major, and was such a disaster that Kevin Feige basically had to scrap all of that footage, the same way Warner Brothers basically had to scrap that Batgirl movie. And it's an embarrassment to for a studio executive to go out here and greenlight a project and not have anything tangible to show for it. I mean, it shows that the writing here must have been exceptionally bad, but that's what you get when you don't go out here and follow standard studio practices, such as creating a series Bible so that everybody knows what the standard is for storytelling and what the standard is for characters. I mean, a series Bible basically keeps everybody on the same page, and it is an essential piece of a production. And it makes me scratch my head that they didn't have a series Bible for Daredevil Born Again. I mean, yeah, I know streaming is popular for many of those who speculated on it, but any business person who knows the entertainment business like I do, we know that the thing that when you have to follow standard practices in order to make sure you have a consistent series, and the way you have a consistent series is with a series Bible, because that series Bible is the thing that producers, directors, writers, and actors are going to look at and understand. Everything that they shoot or film is based on the standards of that Bible, and it's an essential piece of writing that really, again, lays the foundation for your storytelling. Moreover, as you're working on it and you're adding characters in, it keeps you on, again, consistent. So you really need that structure in order to create the form of film. And it just is, again, shows how dysfunctional and disorganized Marvel Studios has become ever since Avengers Endgame. As they look to expand the MCU into streaming shows, they really didn't have any sort of structure or direction. And again, that's embarrassing, because seasoned executives who work in film should know how things work in film and television, especially when it comes to hour-long programs, because on an hour-long program, it's almost just like a movie. And you should have, a plan and a concrete plan for everything that you're going to lay out for your story, for your overreaching story arc. And your overreaching story arc is laid out in your series Bible. Again, this was the thing that was, it just boggles my mind that this was not available. Again, any seasoned showrunner knows, hey, I'm not going even on that set. We're not even scouting locations. We're not even going out here and casting actors or writing any scripts until we have that foundation in the series Bible. And again, in the series Bible is the pilot. That's what I put in my All About Nikki Fabulous first season book. I mean, everything is laid out again, and all you have to do after you get your Bible is start laying out the plans for your shooting scripts. That's what you have, again, with your planning. And again, this is embarrassing, because if there was no planning, that means you're not going to get a quality show at the end of the overall footage that is shot and edited. You're not going to get anything of quality, because if you had a solid series Bible, what would have happened is we would have had Matt Murdock return. We would have been dealing with the aftermath of the entire incident that took place in the finale of Daredevil Season 3, and we would have seen Daredevil starting to pick up the pieces of his life after defeating Kingpin and taking on the next villain in the Daredevil Rogues Gallery, whether it be the Gothic Deathstalker or one of his other villains like the Max Marauder, or even you could have brought in some Typhoid Mary, which I thought would have been great for Season 4. I mean, there were a lot of great angles that they could have done. Again, even if you had Kingpin fall, this would have, again, segued nicely into Typhoid Mary. Again, one of the most awesome stories as related to Daredevil. Again, so many possibilities, but the problem is Marvel Studios doesn't have a visionary, and Kevin Feige clearly is in over his head at this point with Fail 4 and Fail 5, and everything is a complete mess. So when I listened to the whole story about Daredevil, it was just saddening me, but it shows me how dysfunctional and out of order Marvel Studios is as related to most of their productions. Now, if you want to check out the unofficial series Bible for my first television series, All About Nikki, you can pick that up in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. And All About Nikki's fabulous first season was a big hit back in 2011, and I believe it could be a great TV series, and you can check out what I would have designed as related to a TV series by checking out All About Nikki the Fabulous first season. And if you want to check out my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic on Lulu.com right now in paperback by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to check out any of my other action-packed African-American fantasy fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, or my vampire novel Eternal Night, which comprise the SJS Direct universe. You can find all of those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com, and you can also find them at other online booksellers in paperback, such as Walmart and Target, and you can find them in digital platforms like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you'd like to see me make more videos about the world of comics, fantasy, and science fiction, or help me to be able to produce my next full SJS Direct comic, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose on Amazon.com today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess, featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online booksellers everywhere today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.